Welcome to another exciting episode of Lucas Productions. At Lucas Productions, our aim is to empower, entertain, and inform citizens with relevant information on topical issues affecting their lives on a day to day basis. For first time viewers, remember to click the subscribe button as well as to hit the notification bell so as not to miss out on upcoming videos. Hey people, welcome to another exciting episode of Lucas Productions. Today we are going to talk about the digital money lending organizations that have operations in Kenya and the larger East African region as a whole. But our primary focus is going to be those that operate within Kenya. Remember that digital online money lenders are technically known as fintech companies in the world of business. Well, not long ago, the Financial Times, a reputable and respected newspaper in the UK, carried along a story or feature that exposed the dirty tricks and arm-twisting techniques employed by digital money lenders in Kenya in a bid to recover their money. It's also worth noting that digital money lending organizations have played a key role and a financial enabler, a fact that has seen so many citizens benefit directly from engaging with them to an extent of enabling many Kenyans meet and service their financial obligations in comparison to the kind of services that established financial institutions, be it savings and credit cooperative societies that are commonly known as SACCOs and banks, do give. Now, that is a fact that has enabled even the lowly of lowliest Kenyan access loans quite easily and, truthfully speaking, promptly without much hassle. However, don't get me wrong. I want to make it very clear. Do not get me wrong. All of us must be aware that when you go out of your way to make any kind of borrowing from any money lending outfit, you do so with the following intent. One, you do so willingly without being coerced to do so. In other words, when you go to borrow money, nobody's forcing you to borrow money. You go to do it on your own free volition. Two, when you borrow money from any lending institution or person, you do so with the full knowledge that you will have to pay back the money you borrowed within a given time frame. Failure to which the lender will use constitutional means at their disposal to recover their money and or any other accruing arrears based on the nature of agreement reached between you and the lender prior to your agreement. It is on this basis that we want to focus on the methodologies or tactics used in recovery of money lent to borrowers by these digital money lending organizations in Kenya. According to the feature covered by the Financial Times in the UK, a huge number of digital money lending organizations in Kenya have gone overboard in their money recovery strategies to an extent of bringing in clauses that are cleverly input in their terms and conditions of lending, popularly known in business circles as T&Cs, which basically is an abbreviation of terms and conditions of lending. Now, that gives them the right to access and evaluate a person's phone details, including phone numbers, private communication, and any other detail they feel they need to use to know a person's private life in the name of assessing an individual's credit worthiness. That is very interesting. I don't think any organization or any outfit has the right to access a person's phone and even personal details in a person's phone in the name of assessing their credit worthiness. That is uncalled for. That is very bad. Interestingly, in Kenya and within the larger East Africa region, a number of digital money lending organizations happen to operate. According to reports, it's estimated that there are 64 such fintech companies in operation. Some of them have been denied access to the Credit Reference Bureau CRB by the Central Bank of Kenya. And I will leave a link below in order for you as our viewers to get to know why they have been denied access by the Central Bank of Kenya following some very unprofessional behavior and professional business tactics that they have been employing in the name of recovering outstanding debts from borrowers. One such story in particular, as covered by the Financial Times, that really caught my attention involved a particular gentleman whom in this instance we shall refer to as M, primarily for purposes of protecting his identity, who gave a harrowing account of how a third party engaged by a famous digital money lending company that is a household name in Kenya, and we are not going to name them for obvious reasons, went completely overboard to the extent of intimidating and threatening him with serious consequences due to failure to repay his loan by only 30 days. Now, it's also interesting to know that M, our guy here, resides at the informal Madare slums, from where he does odd jobs in order to eke out his daily bread. Many people from these kind of settlements actually do not have any meaningful income, so they end up relying on very, very menial jobs in order to be able to make ends meet. And that is how a good number of them actually end up taking loans from these digital money lenders in order to meet their financial obligations, which is quite understandable, so to say. Now, his fiancée, also named Withheld, who underwent very serious psychological and physical torment after receiving repeated phone calls from the third-party debt collection firm engaged by the said digital money lender, is still in shock up to date, actually. What we are getting here is that his fiancée has gone through serious psychological torture that resulted as a result of the third party that was engaged by the digital money lending firm made her to go through. You know, when you receive constant phone calls that's full of nothing other than threats, and more threats, and more threats, and more threats every day, almost every single hour, as a human being, you're bound to break loose at some point. And by breaking loose, that is where psychologists and psychiatrists will aptly tell you that you're going through very serious psychological torment. And this is exactly what happened to M's fiancé. Now, how does M's fiancé come into all this? You see, the third party debt collecting firms that have been engaged by these digital money lending organizations have gone overboard and gotten information from people's phones, including personal details of their close relations, which they're using to threaten them, to coerce the borrowee to pay the money. And that is something that is totally unheard of in the world of business or professional business conduct. It's also interesting to note that when John was further prodded, he revealed that he did not refuse to pay his outstanding debt. But as a result of COVID-19 associated challenges on the country's economy, was unable to meet the repayment deadline, not out of choice, but as a result of unforeseen circumstances. Granted, COVID has come along with very, very serious economic challenges. All of us, in one way or the other, have either been affected directly or affected indirectly. Nobody can sit back pretty and claim that COVID is something that belongs to a certain segment of the population. All of us have been affected by this COVID thing, one way or the other. And our man here, M, is just but a case study. It's also worth noting that M, on previous occasion, had borrowed money from the very, very same digital money lender who is currently unleashing terror on him. He borrowed money from the very same digital lender and paid his loan. So he's not a stranger to money borrowing and repayment of loans. He went ahead to even share his earlier borrowing details, but also shared his earlier repayment details in which the said fintech company even acknowledged receiving his loan repayment. The sad bit is that the same digital money lending company that has decided to unleash terror on M through a third party, which is a debt collection firm, even sent him text a little bit earlier, as was witnessed by the Financial Times correspondent, acknowledging payment of his money, which he had borrowed initially. See the way tables turn. Not only that, M went ahead to share gory details of how a senior citizen who happens to be his neighbor where he resides in Madari slums developed acute high blood pressure as a result of the kind of harrowing experiences at the hands of the third parties contracted by these fintech companies to recover debts on their behalf. You see, for example, we may have company A, which is a digital money lending company. Now, because they want to diversify their business operations, they will go ahead and contract company B to be collecting debts on their behalf to those who have borrowed money from them. And that is how these third party debt collecting firms come on board. Now, it's also interesting to note that in business circles, these digital money lending companies are also known as fintech organizations or fintech companies. The Financial Times also reveals that a former employee who at some point worked for one of the fintech companies in Nairobi admitted that digital money lenders engaged debt collection firms on their behalf, in which, based on the in which the agreement between them and the debt collecting firm is such that the sum collected from the outstanding debts, they are then paid a handsome commission. In other words, the information that we're getting here is that when a digital money lending company engages the services of a debt collection firm, the agreement is based on the amount of money that they will have recovered from their outstanding debts or from those who owe them money. There's an agreed commission which will be paid to them. And this agreed commission, more often than not, happens to be very handsome. And that is why these third party firms or debt collection firms go overboard in a bid to collect as much money as possible from those who have borrowed money from the digital money lenders, because their stake actually lies on the amount of money that they collected on behalf of the digital money lenders. Now, that's part of the contractual agreement between the money lenders and the debt collection firms. The said fintech company, which I had mentioned earlier on, that is a household name in Kenya, not only violated the constitutional rights of John, or M for that matter, by accessing private information on his mobile phone, but went ahead to call his girlfriend, whom name has we have withheld a name here for protection purposes, with the aim of shaming him to his girlfriend and his family members or close relatives. Of course, as an action that is in serious violation of Chapter 4 on the Bill of Rights, as enshrined in our Constitution. This is very interesting indeed. It's a very, very serious breach of the Constitution and a person's Bill of Rights when a company goes overboard and tries to get, to institute some kind of threats on close relatives and family members of those who have borrowed money from them. That is unacceptable, completely unacceptable. And these digital money lending companies must be called to shame. Now, following sustained public outrage, the Central Bank of Kenya, which is also known as CBK, popularly known as CBK in Kenya, was forced to intervene after a presidential directive that was issued on 25th of March 2020, in which the Central Bank of Kenya directed the Credit Reference Bureau, or CRB, not to blacklist Kenyans who are taking out loans on these fintech companies until such a time that the current situation that we're experiencing in the country at the moment normalized and citizens are able to service their outstanding loans. Yes, as I said earlier on, Corona has brought in, or COVID-19 for that matter, has brought in a lot of economic challenges, which has forced people actually not to meet many of their financial obligations. And one of those financial obligations is servicing outstanding debts. Now, as a result, if everybody is going to be listed at the Central Reference Bureau or Central Credit Reference Bureau, then it goes without saying that a huge percentage of the Kenyan population was going to be listed at the CRB. If you're listed at the CRB, basically you become deadlocked. You can't get any loan, you can't get any clearance certificates either from the Kenya Revenue Authority, from the CRB itself, or even from other government-related agencies such as the CID. And we know very well how critical some of these documents are, especially to some of us, or those of us who are just trying to make it even in life, by looking for job, formal employment, and so on and so forth. And these are some of the requirements that employers happen to need whenever they are offering employment opportunities to many young people in Kenya. Bottom line, it's not only wrong, but immoral and callous for these fintech companies to employ the kind of rogue and inhuman tactics that they have been using of late with a view of recovering outstanding debts. This is totally uncalled for. This is totally, totally, totally uncalled for. And they must be called out to shame, the companies that engage in this kind of business practices. I believe there are better ways in which such recoveries can be made. That is my personal conviction. It's therefore upon citizens and respective government agencies to keep watch on these rogue, and I mean rogue, debt collection firms and fintech companies who engage these debt collection firms to do their bid. In turn, of course, it goes without saying that these practices are subjecting Kenyans to untold physical, emotional, and psychological torture. That we all know. But the question is, what are we going to do about it as citizens? What are we going to do about it as government? What are we going to do about it as society? This has been a Lucas Productions. Thank you for watching, and as always, remember to subscribe for upcoming videos by clicking on the subscribe button and hitting the notification bell. God bless.